Shalom. Shalom. To the 144,000, the elect. But before I get started, let me give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kudash. That one to the apostle nails, a great millstone. Peace and blessing to the brothers that are preaching truth in the four winds of the earth. May Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, have mercy upon you. All right, let's get right into it. First, I'm going to do a little reading. Well, I'm going to do quite a bit of reading concerning Russia and China demand that Trump release Maduro. So, boy, Trump is really, or should I say Babylon, right? Which is that cruel, Babylon. DJ Trump is definitely that cruel Lord in these latter times. You know, Babylon pushing its limits. Let's read this right quick concerning Russia and China, right? Based on news reports from early January of 2026, Russia and China have condemned the United States following the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, sometimes referred to as Maduro in headlines, which may be misinterpreted as a place name or misspelled by U.S. forces. Yeah, right. Capture of Maduro, Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, was captured by the U.S. military in Caracas, and brought to the New York to face criminal charges. An operation reported around January the 5th of 2026 demands release. China and Russia have demanded that Trump administration immediately release Maduro, with China describing the actions as a clear violation of international law. Geopolitical impact. The incident follows heightened tensions over Venezuelan oil. That's all it's about, y'all. Industry and the presence of Russia and Chinese interests in the region, which the Trump administration has sought to sever. Context: the capture is part of a broader. In other words, with the saying right here, this geopolitical impact, saying this incident follows a heightened tension over Venezuelan oil industry and the presence of Russia and China interest in the region, meaning the war, meaning the substance, right? Starting with the oil, but there are many other minerals that Venezuelans have, but you know, oil is more lucrative than most, right? Which the Trump administration has sought to sever, meaning sever the ties between Russia and China and Venezuela. Okay, the last but least context, the capture is part of a broader aggressive, and he's being aggressive. But you can say that U.S. strategy in the Western Hemisphere, sometimes referred to in reports as Monroe Doctrine or Trump corollary, aimed at limiting foreign influence in the Americas. So in other words, he's they're not just claiming America; they're claiming the region of what we know as the West. The U.S. say report indicate that the U.S. has maintained a firm stance, while Russia and China have threatened retaliation by the removal of their ally. Now, what did Trump go and do? This is what Trump did. Trump went right over there and did what? Russia condemns, calls seizure, piracy, and banditry. Trump went right over there and seized all tankers belonging to what? To Russia. Russia to take action after U.S. seizes its oil tanker. World on alert. Man, when I tell you in Revelations 17, 16, it definitely at a play concerning the even though Russia is not an ally to America, but hey, the tension is going to push toward their allies, and it's going to be what? It's going to be all out war. Let's read some of these comments because I read about like 5 or 6 of them, and they were very interesting. Okay, Tony says international sanctions, the new name of U.S. piracy. Who's good at giving things names? Esau Edom. Making up their what? They make it up as they go. The same way they do their judicial system, their laws and statutes, and they just what? Make it up as they go. And then when something they get trapped within their own system, what do? They just make it up and get out. That's all Westlaw is. It's what? It just made up. Right? He says, let me see what the comment, reply say. You are so right to steal, why destroy? Right? So let's show less. Eric says, Russia, get off your knees and stand up to these pirates. All they doing is just poking the bear, man. It's just poking. Don't trust me. He gonna stand up. They gonna stand up. Okay, and then you got what you say? Hammer says UN is useless and needs to be abolished. Talking about the what? The UN, which is the United Nations / NATO, say all that needs to be abolished. Let's see. Let's go to the replies. Absolutely, much of the world's problem can be attributed to what? To their silence. It's a racist organization created what? By Daddy USA. Hey, most like it's like over here in America, living over here in America, right? Most of you so-called Edomites were what? Been silent of all of the racism and all of the redlining that was been going on over here. Now that Trump and them did what? Where we'll say the wicked elite, they put that pressure under you all heels, and now you want to scream. Don't scream now. You almost at your end. Don't scream now. Let me see. John says only works for what? For the West. See that? But hey, only work for the West. I mean, look what he's doing. You know, Trump pushing, definitely poking the bear and pushing, or should I say, he's pushing his limits. Should I say, right? Let's show less. Pepperoni prepper. There they go. All your prepping is gonna be what? It's not gonna save you in these last days. If USA was suspended from the UN might be able to what? To function. But what did Trump say? Trump says, I seen a brother video. Trump warns NATO. I think I put a video up here. I can't remember where it's at. Trump warned NATO without America, there is no NATO. So, but this guy here say if USA was suspended from the UN might be able to function. That's that what's that precept I think that's in Daniel. He's stalked than all the fellas. Meaning what? He's proud. He's more proud and what that is? Daniel 7. I know it's 7. I don't know what verse. No, Daniel, not Daniel. Why did I say Daniel? Um, Hold on, y'all bear with me for a minute. I'm trying to get that. Yeah, it is. It is Daniel. Daniel 7 and verse. Let's just get right to the point. Verse 20. And the 10 horns, which is the European Union, right? / NATO, that were in his head, and of the what the other, what other? America, which came up and before I guess I'll come back and go up a little further, but I'm just getting to the point concerning he was stout, look more stout than his fellas, meaning NATO, right? The European, the part of the what European Union, who was more stout? America, which came up and what before whom three fell, and that was what that was Great Britain, Spain, no, French, Spanish, and the British wars. Remember them wars? The three fell, even what? Even of that horn. What horn? America, that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. That's America. Proud as hell. Who's more proud? America is that I want to get into another whole I just want to make a point concerning that he was more stout than his fellows, meaning concerning the European Union and Spain, France, British, and so forth, right? But so that's what he said. If U.S. was suspended from the UN might be able to function. Now, then he answered Pepper. He said, U.S. is the biggest funder of the UN. Without U.S. funding, UN wouldn't exist. Ain't that what Trump said? Trump said what? Trump warns NATO, without NATO, there is no alliance. That's what he said. Actually, that's right here. I got it right here. Here you go right here. Trump dismisses NATO value as his desire for Greenland. Russia and China, let me see here, NATO and with the United States and Dow, I might be going a little too far, y'all. Let's see. Trump say U.S. will be there for NATO. This was hold up, y'all. We going NATO support President Trump said Wednesday. Trump threats against Greenland post new potentially. Right? See, he say one thing, then come something else, then say one thing, then come something else. White House warns it's always an option to use U.S. military. So he's being a bully. U.S. President Donald Trump has once again lashed out. Russia and China has zero fear of NATO. See, hey man, you can't say one thing. Trump is definitely poking that bear, man. Let's see. Jamal say, I'm gonna watch the video in a minute. Fully agree. Just give one example that UN has succeeded with the exception of what? A condemnation. Okay, let's watch a little of this video here concerning Russia. I mean, like I say, China and Russia gave a little demands concerning releasing of Maduro. And what did Trump go over there and do? Listen up.
Washington confirmed boarding and taking control of at least 2 tankers. Russia's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has called the blockade and seizures piracy and banditry, according to Russian statements and international reporting. Russia's Transport Ministry said U.S. forces boarded the tanker and contact was lost, calling it a violation of maritime law. Russia's Foreign Ministry says the ship was in international waters and far from the U.S. coastline when it was tracked. Russia says the ship was Russian flagged and operating lawfully. U.S. officials say the operation was tied to sanctions enforcement. Russia argues there was no legal basis to use force against a foreign registered vessel, citing the UN Sea Law framework. Russia's foreign ministry warned the standoff could spiral into unpredictable consequences, urging de-escalation. Russian officials say they want to challenge the seizures through legal and diplomatic channels. A Russian lawmaker criticized the sea.
See, everybody trying to do the right thing, when America has never done the right thing. I mean, and everybody knows this here. These people have not held up with any. But Esau Edom is so deceitful with those lies, and that they are what? I mean, they haven't even the very ones that they're dealing with questioning themselves. You know, maybe this time they would do the right thing, or maybe this time America would do the right thing. There's no such thing. No such thing. Huh? A U.S. and Benjamin, not a Jew. Them two is not going to, not and never. They will look you in your eyes and just would tell you the biggest lie ever. And just repeat it on and on like nobody really sees them. Like children playing on the sand pit and say, I ain't kick the house down. I ain't kick your I should be building the mud thing. I didn't kick it down. It wasn't none of me. And then do this is what these people do. America plays. These are the type of games they play right in your face.
Seizure as illegal, according to Russian media. The claim can't be independently.
A little sand house, what I was trying to think of. You know, children playing and then somebody make a sand house, then want to go kick it down. I ain't do that.
Verified. Russian officials say any maritime enforcement should be handled collectively, not unilaterally. Russia argues U.S. court warrants shouldn't apply on the high seas. Washington frames the seizures as lawful sanctions enforcement. Russian state media claims the tanker was operating legally. U.S. statements and tracking data are cited by outlets as the...
Let me tell you something y'all don't know, though. No, concerning maritime law. This is exactly what the... let me see something. Let me show you something. I ain't want to confuse nobody, but maritime law, this is what be using in the courts. For real. Let me see something here. Let me see, can I pull something more? I got to answer the right questions here, y'all. Does maritime law have anything to do with U.S. court system?
Yes, maritime law is part of the U.S. court system. The Constitution gives federal courts, like U.S. district courts, exclusive jurisdiction over admiralty and maritime cases. These cover things such as seaman injuries, cargo disputes, and accidents on navigable waters, using unique federal procedures. For legal advice, consult a professional.
See that? That's what a lot of you all don't understand concerning law. You know, a judge has several hats. Criminal, civil, and he got a hat, a private side, a hat that no one really have knowledge of. I mean, when I say no one, I'm talking about most people in society. So, it's I can't go into great detail because I can. Cause I used to teach this which is called UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. This here is something that a lot of people not aware of, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. If I go down there, that's a whole nother subject, and then you're gonna take me off of what I'm talking about, which is Trump America being the bully, right? So, but maritime law, you all say that just let most people know that most of y'all don't know what's going on in these courtrooms. So, Trump and them can make it up this is what statutes all about. Statutes, y'all. Statutes is case law. Statutes. They are literally case law that happen. Okay, well, I say, I'm over here in Alabama, right? Alabama's 11th Circuit. Florida, you got Georgia, them states are connecting states. If I'm over here in Alabama and I get locked up and we just use drugs because get locked up for an ounce in a pistol and they gave me 16 years. They justified giving me 16 years. This same law, which is a statute, is going to apply what? It's going to apply to you. And that's the state of Alabama, the state of Florida, the state of Georgia, whichever state that are connected in circuits. That's why they got circuits. One circuit, first circuit, second circuit, third circuit. I know. It sounds confusing, but it ain't confusing. That anyone that know how to use their brain. So here we go. Let's hear a little more.
Basis for the seizure. Some outlets reported heavy U.S. surveillance and a major operation. Specific aircraft and special forces details are not independently confirmed. Moscow describes U.S. sanctions as illegitimate because they seek to control global energy flows. Russia has proposed bringing the case to the International Maritime Organization and the United Nations for multilateral debate on maritime security. Russia's response has not been limited to diplomatic protests. U.S. officials and major outlets reported Russian naval vessels, including a submarine, were in the area, but key details remain disputed. The Transport Ministry has formally demanded that the United States cease the persecution of Russian tankers. Reports say Venezuela has considered naval escorts for some shipments. There's no confirmed detail about troops on board. Russian commentators claim monitoring has intensified. Independent confirmation is limited. This reported military dimension transforms the tanker dispute into something potentially more dangerous. The Kremlin has pointed to its strategic partnership with Venezuela and says,
who knows? Who knows? Because a lot of this stuff here that we be getting, it be days behind. It already didn't happen. Kremlin position supportive as crisis escalates, and it's escalating. What what's that quote that Apostle Hall quoted today? There are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. We're seeing that. Look at all of the it's so much going on. I mean, 2026, man, we're 7, 8 days. And look at all of the madness that's going on, man. Look at what's going on. Now y'all believe us now, huh? We're not so crazy now, huh? When we were trying to tell y'all that America is through, it's finished, and it's gonna what? It's gonna get it or whatever. Now we're not so crazy, huh? Yeah, we ain't got good sense. Something wrong with us or whatever. Now y'all see it. All you gotta do is pull them resources from y'all, boy, especially from you women. Pull it from your boy. Then guess what? Then you get on board. But a lot of you still ain't on board. You still what? You still proud as hell to let Esau eat them.
It remains supportive as the crisis escalates. Moscow has denied rumors of evacuation of diplomatic personnel from Caracas. After earlier seizures near Venezuela, Russia had already demanded answers from the United States. The foreign minister insisted that discussions on drug trafficking and maritime security must be collective, not unilateral. Moscow rejected U.S.
See, that's called making it up as you go, y'all. That's all it is. It's just making it up and creating what? Creating words, creating what? And then they create new laws and then create doubt in what? In the minds of the people. That's where the confusion come in at. When they say they got a law, that's low. How that law is? Nobody, listen, make it up as you go, y'all. They need to call the American law system. Make it up as you go.
Accusations that the tankers supported foreign terrorist organizations, calling them pretexts for imperial plunder. In recent months, multiple interceptions and pursuits have been reported by international outlets, raising tensions.
This is day 1 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts. This is day 21 of
in the region. The pattern of confrontation has been building. The situation appears to be escalating. Russia has issued diplomatic protests, and reports describe nearby naval activity, a mix that analysts warn could raise miscalculation risks. Moscow is seeking legal and diplomatic channels to challenge the seizures. The Kremlin maintains support.
See, trying to do the right thing. Trying to do the right thing, and Americans doing what? They laughing. They laughing, and as they laugh, they taking more stuff. laughing and taking most of them. Then what happened? What else did they do? They went over what that is China. They took 2 oil tankers from China. I think one was called I thought even 2 from China or China and in Iran. Sophia and you know what? I got it up here somewhere. Hold up. Did America see? That's Russia. Okay, right here. Let's read this right here, right? I said, did U.S. seize China oil tanker? It said yes. The U.S. military recently seized 2 oil tankers, including a Russian flag vessel we were just watching. The Marinera, formerly what? Bella 1, and the M/T Sophia, in operation linked to what? To sanctions on Venezuela. Though reports focus more on Russia and Venezuela than China directly seizing the ship. China is a major buyer and strongly opposes these seizures. That's why I just showed you earlier when they say Russia and China demands that he be released, because they have what? They are business associates. Right? Anyway, on Russia and Venezuela, then China directly seizing the ship. Or Venezuela, then China directly seizing the ship. China is a major buyer and strongly opposes these seizures, calling them illegal. The seizures are what are part of a U.S. effort to disrupt sanctions or shipments, with China being what a primary designation for what? For Venezuelan what? Crude, meaning oil. Okay, vessels was the Marinera, Russia flagged, previously Bella, and what? And M/T Sophia, Panama flagged. Actions. U.S. forces boarded and seized the tankers in what? In international waters. Reason. This is the reason they say now for violating U.S. sanctions related to Venezuela illicit oil trade. Boy, I tell you, boy, they trying to govern the world. This is America. What that is? 51. It's not. But the hammer of the earth. Tell me that ain't America, huh? Tell me that's not. What did Jeremiah 50:23? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become what? A desolation among what? The nations. That's his truth. That's future prophecy. Right? This America gonna keep pushing it until what? But hey, you know that MOTB got to go and listen. We hope they push that tonight, tomorrow. The MOTB, and then once they push that, it's over with. This thing could escalate and tension could hit overnight, immediately, right? Reason for violating U.S. sanctions related to Venezuelan illicit oil trade. China's role. China is the main buyer of Venezuelan oil. And while they haven't seized the tanker, their foreign ministry denounces the U.S. actions as bullying and violations of international law. The context meaning what? These seizures are part of a broader U.S. effort, intensified after the capture of Venezuelan President Maduro to enforce a blockade on sanctioned oil. Now, usually, I mean, they can, tell people. I mean, you could say, I mean, but if they're not part of your coalition, meaning EU, the NATO, you can't just go. You can't just go. But hey, man. But hey, I mean, I ain't gonna say what the Edomites can't do because they run the world, man. You know, they run the world. You know, and you know America gonna push its limits. And boy, who didn't push the limits of these countries worse than Trump? Trump, the best I've seen do it when it comes to being a bully, when it comes to being that Debo for real. Let's go back over here. Watch a little more of this right here. I mean, hear a little more of this, and then go to the next video.
For Venezuela despite U.S. pressure, and Russian officials warn of unpredictable consequences. The seizure of tankers is no longer just an economic issue. It has become a potential flashpoint. Each side is hardening its position. Neither shows willingness to back down. The risk of miscalculation grows with each passing day. The United States has seized a major oil tanker linked to Venezuela's sanctioned crude trade. The Marinera, a supertanker capable of carrying enormous quantities of oil, was captured in the North Atlantic. The interception took place in a zone between Iceland and the United Kingdom. This vessel was Russian flagged and directly connected to Venezuelan petroleum exports. It had been under U.S. surveillance for weeks. The seizure represents a dramatic escalation in Washington's campaign against what it calls the Dark Fleet. The Marinera has a significant history. It previously operated under the name Bella One. Under that name, it was already sanctioned by the United States for transporting Venezuelan crude oil. It was also linked to Iranian petroleum shipments, another heavily restricted cargo. The vessel changed its name, a common tactic used by ships trying to evade identification and sanctions enforcement. But U.S. intelligence...
So U.S. just saying, hey, it's in the West. We own the West. You want to do business in the West? How you gonna come over here and buy something from a country which is Venezuela, which is that we sanction? You know, we the gods of the West. But that crude law ain't no joke, ain't it, man? Woo! Nero putting that work in.
Continued tracking it. The name change provided no protection. American forces knew exactly what ship they were targeting. The location of the interception is significant. The Marinera was captured in the North Atlantic between Iceland and the United Kingdom. This indicates the tanker was likely heading toward European markets. Alternatively, it may have been positioning for a ship-to-ship transfer at sea. Either way, the route took it far from Venezuelan waters. The vessel's operators likely believed distance would provide safety. They were wrong. U.S. forces demonstrated they can intercept dark fleet tankers anywhere in the world. The capture of the Marinera was not a spontaneous action. U.S. forces had been tracking the vessel for weeks. Intelligence assets monitored its movements across international waters. Surveillance aircraft and satellites tracked its position. The timing and location of the interception were chosen carefully. This was a planned operation with significant intelligence support. When the moment was right, U.S. forces moved in. The vessel was boarded and taken into custody. The Marinera is classified as a supertanker. These vessels are among the largest ships.
Listen to how much oil this thing got, y'all.
On the ocean. A supertanker can carry over 2 million barrels of crude oil. At current prices, that cargo is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. You think they I think it's a video. Putin wins Trump furious. I think a minute ago Russia. I might click on it before I got a lot of stuff here already. It say Russia seizes 3 billion in Arctic vessels. You know what? Let me look that up right quick. Let me see if I can get it right quick, y'all. Bear with me. Right quick, right. Let me see something. Let me go to YouTube. Let me see what can I pull up. Let me read it. Russia seizes 3 billion in Arctic vessels.
Russia seizes 3 billion in Arctic vessels.
Let's see something. I probably should have went to Google, y'all, because they'll let me read. This is a bunch of videos. This is a bunch of Russia. Yeah, let me Google it instead of going to YouTube thing. I'm trying to get a video and play it right. Let me repeat that. Russia seizes $3 billion in Arctic vessels. It could be some BS. Let me see. January the 7th of 2025, right? U.S. seizes Venezuelan linked. Let me see. The U.S. seized the Russian flag. That's the same thing I'm reading, though. I thought it was more to it. Let me see. Harvard's on U.S. military seized the two. That's the same thing. I thought it was something different. That's some video on it. One more siege Russia. Yeah, that's the same thing I got right here, right? It's just repeating the language, making news. So let's hear it on out.
Seizing such a vessel represents a major economic blow. It's not just the loss of one shipment, it's the disruption of an entire logistics chain. The Marinera employed classic shadow fleet techniques to evade sanctions. These techniques are well known but difficult to counter. Ships turn off their transponders to avoid detection by maritime tracking systems. They conduct ship-to-ship transfers at sea, moving cargo between vessels to obscure its origin. Frequent flag changes make tracking difficult. Name changes, like Bella 1 becoming Marinera, confuse identification. False documentation about cargo and destination is common. The vessels often register with flags of convenience.
Let's read a little, y'all. I did the same thing, the same way I did with China. Did America siege Russia's? I think I read this here. Let me look at this real quick. No, I didn't read. I just think I did read some of this here. U.S. seized flag oil tanker linked to vessel. This is a bunch of little small videos. I was trying to get some more news on it. U.S. seizes 2 tankers at Venezuela. I did read that. 13 hours, 9 hours, 6 hours. So let's go back to the. Hold up. Oh, let's go to this brother video here, right? The name of it is Hey Babylon. 72 hours to respond, says Moab. You're on the clock. Listen to this right here.
Beijing just drew a red line, and they're dead serious about enforcing it. I'm Ray McGovern, 27 years inside the CIA. I've watched superpowers dance around each other for decades, testing limits while avoiding direct confrontation. But what's happening with China's ultimatum over Venezuela represents something I've never seen before. A nuclear power openly challenging American military action with demands that could trigger World War III. This isn't diplomatic protest. This is the moment when regional crisis becomes global confrontation between superpowers with incompatible strategic objectives.
Oh, I'm bad. The brother page is Arrows of Indignation. I've done quite a few videos. I'm quite sure y'all familiar with this brother page. Arrows of Indignation 144.
And nuclear arsenals pointed at each other. The power struggle starts now, and there's no going back. Let me explain how Venezuela became the flashpoint for the next World War. When Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi delivered Beijing's ultimatum demanding immediate release of President Maduro and withdrawal of American forces from Venezuelan territory, he wasn't engaging in routine diplomatic theater. His language was precise, his deadline was specific, and his threats were backed by military capabilities that could devastate American interests worldwide. The forced capture of a democratically elected leader represents an unacceptable violation of international law that China will not tolerate, Wang declared in an emergency press conference that bypassed normal diplomatic channels. American military forces must withdraw from Venezuelan territory within 72 hours or face consequences that extend far beyond the Western Hemisphere. During my intelligence career, I learned to distinguish between diplomatic posturing and genuine.
You know, most of y'all can care less about hearing this, huh? Because you get bored easy in hearing talks concerning threats of World War II, World War III, and escalation between these nations, because that's because you know your spirit. You know, the Heavenly Father haven't gave you the spirit of discernment concerning what does this mean, right? We've been, you know, been blowing the horn and telling you all and warning you all. You know, this is the Lord warning you first and foremost, you Israelites, right? The warning before the storm, right? Your enemies are going to be warned. Going to be warned in the process of what? Or you Israelites being warned and having the hand shaking at you all and telling you what to repent. But we know most of you are not going to repent and not going to come back to what, because for one thing, the Heavenly Father don't want everyone. He wants you to what? To receive this judgment. Your judgment, your indignation is going to be what? Which righteous judgment is going to be. It's going to be righteous in the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You're not going to be able to get around it.
Genuine threats. Wong's ultimatum contains specific language that signals Chinese willingness to escalate beyond economic retaliation toward military confrontation if American forces remain in Venezuela. The 72-hour deadline is deliberately short to prevent American consolidation of military gains while demonstrating Chinese determination to challenge American unilateral military action.
I wonder how much oil you think America can steal within 72 hours. It take them ships forever to get over 3 days. It's gonna take them ships way longer than them tankers. Them oil tankers gonna take them way longer than 72 hours to get some ships over there. They need some months to do a whole lot of stealing. They can't do a whole lot of stealing unless they taking their ships. Unless they're taking their ships. I don't tell you how many ships was over there that was on the dock over there that was being loaded up with that oil. Boy, America, boy, I'm telling you, boy, you talking about Debo pushing its limits.
Regardless of escalation risks, Chinese demands include not just Maduro's release, but complete American withdrawal from Venezuelan territory, termination of sanctions against Venezuelan government, and restoration of Venezuelan sovereignty over its own natural resources and international relationships. These demands are non-negotiable because they address core Chinese strategic interests in maintaining alternative power centers that resist American hegemonic dominance while protecting Chinese investments that represent future economic security.
China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China will never allow the United States to launch a war against China, conventional or nuclear, without suffering devastating consequences. If you have not watched the Victory Day parade in Beijing on September the 3rd, one of the weapons China demonstrated, we call it 61, because it can contain 60 nuclear warheads plus one hydrogen bomb.
That's why when the scriptures speak about 200 million missiles, right? I think it's 200 million. That's how, because wow, one warhead of China, that's just China now, it's 60 warheads.
Now, in the world of today, let me tell you, which country has hydrogen bomb? China is the only country with hydrogen bomb. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war.
Huh? That's America's future, y'all. Let's go to let's see something here. Let's see Trump. Oh, and then I mean, he doing all this here against the damn, what the thing is against China, Iran, Russia, and so forth, right? Damn, there was sometimes y'all was smart as a whoop. Anyway, let's just get right to let's see, NATO. Now, listen, did I get this right here? I think I went over this here. I put up in here Trump. I googled Trump warns NATO without NATO here. Damn, I put without NATO. Y'all bear with me. I need to hit this again. Y'all bear with me, y'all. I don't know what they're gonna do. Let's see what they're gonna do. There is no alliance. So let me see something. I think I went over this right now. I was trying to find something to read in here. I guess I had to read these little what's the names again. Let's see something. But I had the word spelled wrong over now. Okay, U.S. President. I'm read a few of these here. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday cast fresh doubt in what on NATO's reliability, saying he was not convinced the alliance will come. Meaning he's saying he don't think the you know what? Let me see. I click on this, play this right here. That they wouldn't come to their aid if they needed NATO. Let's see something. Damn commercial, boy, I tell you.
This is what Free Palestine means to Hamas.
All right, so let's start this broadcast with some breaking inputs that have in fact come in, where the American President Donald Trump has expressed his doubts over the NATO alliance. On his Truth Social post, the American president has said that Washington was paying for the NATO bills since they were at 2% GDP. Furthermore, he said, and I quote him here, "Without my involvement, Russia would have all of Ukraine right now. Remember also, I single-handedly ended 8 wars, and Norway, a NATO member, foolishly chose not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is that I saved millions of lives. Russia and China have zero fear of NATO without the United States, and I doubt that NATO would be there for the United States if we really needed them." Now, Trump's renewed threat.
See, Trump not only going against the East, which is Far East, Russia and China now. He's not only going against he's also coming up against what? Their own allies. Their own allies.
To seize Greenland from the NATO member Denmark have rattled the transatlantic alliance leaders of.
And that's I read a post where he said that NATO say that if Trump, wait a minute, if Trump, damn, hold y'all, I'm seeing I get this right quick. NATO makes claims of if Trump takes Denmark, y'all bear with me. I paused that for a reason. I did say it where I said it for a reason. Painful questions for NATO and the EU. Here we go right here. Here we go right here. He said the painful question for NATO and EU as Trump threatens Greenland. On Tuesday, the so-called coalition of the willing largely made up of European leaders met in Paris with envoys of U.S. President Donald Trump to try to make further progress on the sustainable peace deal for Ukraine. With Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky insisting a plan to end the war with Russia is 90% of the way there. No one in the room wanted to jeopardize keeping the Americans on board. But there was an immense Greenland-shaped elephant in that grand and glittering, kind of hard to see, y'all. Y'all just bear with me. Paris meeting Greenland is the world's biggest island. It's 6 times the size of Germany. It lies in the Arctic, but it is an autonomous territory of Denmark. And Donald Trump insists he wants it, needs it for U.S. national security. Denmark Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen was at the Paris meeting. She's a key EU ally. He's not only bullying he's bullying his allies, NATO, a key ally of the United States Kingdom. None of those countries want to risk antagonizing Donald Trump, but with the political temperature rising in Washington and in Copenhagen, 6 big European powers, including the UK, France, and Germany, issued a joint statement on the sideline of the Ukraine talks. They said that security in the Arctic should be achieved collectively together with NATO allies, including the United States, and that it was for Denmark and Greenland alone to decide on matters concerning Denmark and Greenland. But was that really enough to contain Trump's ambition? Mette Frederiksen says Denmark's prime minister was under pressure from European colleagues not to antagonize the U.S. over Greenland. The answer came with hours. No, the White House releases its own statement that it is discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland. All of them unilaterally including buying the island. Chillingly for Europe's leaders, the White House communique delivered, that's what it says, y'all, by Press Secretary Caroline Levitt said that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option as the commander-in-chief in disposal. Ooh, that's long, y'all. Hold up. Ooh, that's long. Let's read the part right here. Under a bilateral agreement, the U.S. has military base already on Greenland established at the beginning of the Cold War. It has reduced the number of personnel there from around 10,000 during peak Cold War. And you think this America not the hammer of the whole earth, y'all? Damn lie. Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges. If it ain't America, then who is it? It ain't the so-called white man, then who is it, y'all? Wake the hell up. It has reduced the number of the personnel there from 10,000 during peak Cold War operation to around 200. And U.S. had long been accused of taking its eye of Arctic security until now. Lord, this thing long. How the EU deferred to Trump. Every year I have covered EU politics. The bloc pledges to play a greater role on the global stage, but when it comes to Trump, it has looked decidedly weak. At the end of last year, EU failed to fulfill the pledge and financially support Ukraine using Russian state assets frozen in the EU. They found the money by other means, but critics say the bloc will very publicly sending a potential strong message both to Moscow and to Trump administration that has repeatedly dismissed the bloc as feeble. So man, hey man, it goes on and on and on and on. But the point is, let's hold on, let's see something. Let's get this last little point right here. Okay. Trump got all NATO allies, bar Spain, last summer to commit to massively increasing spending on their own defense. But Europe is still heavily reliant on the U.S. in many areas, including intelligence gathering, command and control, and air capabilities. Washington is well aware of this. NATO insider says right now, even in meetings behind closed doors, European member states, the alliance can hardly bring themselves to contemplate what could happen if Washington were to move in on Greenland militarily. They may have to in other words, they're going to have to challenge him. Also, BBC in depth is the home. Yeah, related topics. Europe, Greenland, France, Denmark, Donald Trump, Ukraine. But hey, that's their ally. Denmark and them. That's part of EU. So hey, this is what you got, and you got Trump being what? Trump being that bullet. Let's listen to it right here.
6 NATO nations joined with Mette Frederiksen, the Prime Minister of Denmark, to issue a remarkable joint statement pushing back against Donald Trump's assertions that the United States should take over Greenland. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, this is an interesting statement by Donald Trump on the NATO military alliance. This is something that he said over and over again. Is there a decision by Donald Trump that we expect on the NATO military alliance?
It's hard to imagine that President Trump would go as far as making a decision one way or the other regarding NATO as being part of NATO. But the part that he says that I doubt that NATO would be with us if anything should happen to us, I mean, the biggest incident in recent history and contemporary history is after the United States was attacked on 9/11 and the way NATO allies rallied behind the president. And so it appears that this is in reaction to the statement that NATO member states have made regarding the Trump administration's desire to acquire Greenland. But nonetheless, it is concerning. And it is, again, very on brand that it appears that the Trump administration and the president himself seems to want to go at things alone, unilaterally, as opposed to a multilateral setting. But it's hard to imagine that they've made any kind of decision regarding NATO. It seems more as a reaction to how NATO member states have reacted. Some of them even, like France, for example, the way in the manner that Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro was brought to the United States.
Well, there you have it. There you have it, baby. There you have it. Right? Let's go down a little more and let's get this right here. I want to get Trump's speech concerning the Shadow Fleet. Let's go here. A little more. And I'm going to close this out. I'm gonna hit a few.
Well, you can create your own.
I'm gonna hit a few precepts, man. I'm not gonna go in. I'm gonna hit 3, maybe 4 precepts, and I'm gonna close this out.
The seizure of the Marinera, a major supertanker far from Venezuelan waters. The tempo and ambition of operations are both increasing. The military buildup supporting these operations is substantial. The aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford has been deployed to the Caribbean. This is one of the most advanced warships in the entire U.S. Navy. Its presence provides air cover, surveillance capabilities, and a powerful deterrent. The carrier strike group includes multiple escort vessels, destroyers, cruisers, and support ships. This represents a major projection of American naval power in the Western Hemisphere. The deployment of the Gerald Ford is part of a broader military buildup. Coast Guard cutters have increased their presence in Caribbean waters. Navy destroyers and cruisers are patrolling key shipping lanes. Surveillance aircraft are monitoring vessel movements across the region. This buildup serves multiple purposes. It supports interdiction operations against the Dark Fleet. All these elements work together as a coordinated campaign. The seizure of the Marinera is one piece of a much larger puzzle. Understanding the Dark Fleet is essential to understanding this story. This term refers to a network of aging tankers used to circumvent international sanctions. The fleet transports oil from countries like Venezuela, Russia, and Iran. These nations face severe restrictions on their petroleum exports. The Dark Fleet allows them to continue selling oil despite sanctions. The vessels operate in shadows, avoiding detection, changing identities, falsifying documents. They are the lifeline that keeps sanctioned oil flowing to global markets.
That's like me going to my next door neighbors and telling my next door neighbor what you can and can't do. Think about that now. That's America going up in there and just saying, hey, you can't do this, yeah? I mean, you're coming from the state of Mississippi, then go to the state of California and make new laws. That's just how I know it sounds stupid, don't it? It sounds crazy. But hey, it is what it is. This is what they do. This is what these devils do, y'all.
For Venezuela, the Dark Fleet is an economic lifeline. U.S. sanctions have severely restricted Venezuela's ability to sell oil through normal channels. Major international shipping companies refuse to handle Venezuelan crude. Global banks will not process payments for sanctioned petroleum. Insurance companies will not cover the cargo. The Dark Fleet provides an alternative to all these obstacles. It allows Venezuela to generate revenue despite the blockade.
The Dark Fleet, y'all. Y'all know what that mean, the Dark Fleet? That's just like we calling all y'all black. All you Negroes want to accept that black. Right? Meaning what? The Dark Fleet. Go get it if you want to. You might not get it. So the other word they saying that so if they send you some oil down there and it's Venezuela, they find it come from there, you most likely they go what? That means that they can take it. Yeah, that's what they're saying. That they can take it.
Disrupting this fleet directly impacts Venezuelan government income. Every seized tanker represents millions of dollars in lost revenue. Russia has responded to these seizures with
hundreds of millions of dollars. Y'all heard it. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Not just millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars.
With outrage. Moscow accused Washington of state piracy following the tanker operations. Russian officials argue that the United States is illegally seizing vessels in international waters. They claim this violates fundamental principles of maritime law. More significantly, Russia is reportedly studying options for military escorts. This could mean Russian naval vessels accompanying tankers to deter U.S. interdiction. Such a development would dramatically increase the risk of confrontation. The possibility of Russian military escorts is significant. If Moscow deploys warships to protect Dark Fleet tankers, the situation changes dramatically. U.S. forces intercepting a vessel escorted by Russian Navy ships would create a dangerous scenario. Neither side wants direct military confrontation, but neither side has indicated willingness to back down. This escalation pathway is now being actively discussed in...
Well, y'all, we're going to see. We're going to see from that point, right? Whether they are... whether they're going to back down or they're going to start putting military or riding with their order. Well, we're going to see. Let's just we're going to play this here by ear. And we're going to wait for the next move. Who's going to do what? Let me hit a few precepts like I promised. Like I said I was going to do, y'all. Hit a few precepts. Let me start.
Secondly, Russia is reportedly studying...
Let me turn this off. So, real quick, y'all, let's go to Revelation 17 and verse 16. Revelation 17, 16, y'all, goes into America and its allies, EU, that they're going to what? That they're going to hate. No, 17. I'm sorry, 17. 17 and 16. Revelation 17, 16. I'm gonna start at verse 15. I'm just gonna hit a few precepts, y'all. This is going to America. Like I say, America is definitely what that would. What is America? You know what? Let me see. 1. But 17 and 1. I ain't going to that. I'm not gonna do all that. Verse 7. This is which is Revelation 17 and verse 7. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the what? Of the woman, meaning the whore. That's a miracle, right? Because why? It esteems himself more in higher regard than all the rest. That he's just, I get to it, stout among what? His fellows. Meaning he's prouder in what? He think that he's what? He's more than what? Than NATO all together, and what? That America is better than all of them, right? All of them nations, them countries. The mystery of the woman and of the what? The beast that carried her, which has the what? The 7 heads and 10 horns. That's EU, right? Let's go over him. Slide over him to verse. Let's start at 15. And he saith unto me, the waters, what water? American waters, right? Which thou sawest, where what? Where the whore, which is America, sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. Who has more different, in America, more different nationality of people? America. That'll be America, y'all. America has more nationality of people in its what? In its country than any other nation. Of peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Which is verse 16, which is the point. And the 10 horns, European Union / NATO, which thou sawest upon the beasts, these, what beasts, y'all? Ancient Rome / NATO, these shall what? Shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate. How are you going to make them desolate? By nuclear destruction. And naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Let's go back to Daniel right quick, which I spoke upon earlier. I just quoted it. Let's go to Daniel 7 and verse. Let's see what I want to start at. Daniel 7 and Daniel 7 and 19. I read verse 20 earlier, right? Let's go to verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the what? The fourth beast. What fourth beast? Roman Empire. Little over 2,000 years ago, right? Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was what? Diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, meaning Romans' weapons, right? Their weapons. You know, Esau Edom was blessed with that what? With that sword. In the days, sword today is what? Starting with the what? The gun. But for nuclear and mass destruction, for mass destruction would be what? Nuclear missiles, ICBMs, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devour, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. What he doing? Taxing everybody. Put them damn bomb, go over there and bomb some shit, tear it up, and then turn around and what? And put them damn banks up in there and let them use them FRMs. And what happened? He taxed them. Verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the what? The other, which is America, which came up, and before whom 3 fell. That's the 3 wars: World War I, World War II, World War III, which is what we're about to enter in, right? Go with that Great Britain, Spain, French, Spanish, British war, right? 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, which is America, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout. So these devils looking down on everybody, including their allies, whose look was more stout, meaning proud as hell, than what? Than his fellas. So this is what you're seeing. You're seeing America, which is the Ecclesiastes 10 and 10. The physician cutteth off a long disease. Because of what? Because America is what? Is the cancer of the earth. America. That's America. So hey, so what you're seeing prophecy, what we've been preaching about, hey, forever. Right? I myself ran along 10 years, the apostles, the elders, some of the elder brothers, 30 years, 20 years, and so forth, right? And been screaming, and the apostles 40 plus years have been telling you all concerning and giving you that warning and telling you what's about to take place over here in Babylon, which is America. So America is going to get its last and final oh shit, hold up. The so-called white, that's why I'm when I can do this right here. I ain't got time, but I'll be stopping on what I had to do. But anyway, y'all, that's it, y'all. I just blowing and tooting the horn for a minute and give you a little reporting on the news and concerning what's going on between the countries, the nations, the militaries in America, what? And Babylon, which is America being what? That bullet in the sea. So they know what they call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kudash, Shalom, y'all.